Hello everyone, this is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today our guest is Alexander O'Sullivan, who will fight on Cage Warriors 188 April 26th. Hello Alex, how are you?
Good. Happy to be on. Interviews usually mean there's a fight coming up, and that's great for me because I've been out for a while, so looking forward to getting back.
And actually, it's about like 2 years when you last fought. And if you can tell me, what was the reason behind this kind of break?
There was a medical reason that was just outside my control. They found on one of my brain scans leading up, they found that I had a stroke, a small stroke. So that led them to investigate further, and they found I had a hole in my heart. So that kind of put me out for a while, and they put me on aspirin and that kind of thing. On aspirin, you can't spar, you can't train. So now I've been given the all clear. I'm 100% ready to go again, and I'm really excited about it. So that was unfortunate. Obviously, it stopped my progress. I was 2-0, just coming off the back of the 2 armbar finishes in the first round, and I was really hoping to build on that. I had a fight scheduled for October and all when they pulled me in October 2023. And then I had to take a year and a half out of fighting and even training for most of it as well. So it's great to be back cleared now and ready to rock again. So I'm hoping to shoot right to the top of the division now in 2025.
And at that point in 2023, were you like a little bit scared that it can be like over for you?
I was, yeah. Some of the doctors were telling me that I might not fight again. They couldn't say whether I could. And they were talking about, I needed heart surgery, and that would have put me out for years and this kind of thing. So, or possibly forever. So eventually, I was given the choice not to do the surgery. The hole was very small, and the stroke might not have come from the hole in the heart. It might have come from something else. And they've decided to pass me because my vitals, my medicals look good. Everything looks fine. So I'm doing my regular MRIs, regular blood tests, and that kind of thing to make sure that everything is going smooth and everything is fine. So I'm clear to fight next week, and that's all that matters now. I'm just ready to put on a performance and showcase my skills again.
So I think that there is like big chance that it will be like a best version of you because of like the hunger that you've got for 2 years and the thing that happened.
Absolutely. I haven't been just I haven't been just sitting out like that. I didn't want to stop fighting. I didn't want to stop training. So as soon as I got the clear to go for it, I've been really locked in. I've moved up a weight category from bantam to featherweight now because I put a lot of effort in the gym with my strength and conditioning coach, Gaz Hickey. The same one as Keith. We've been working with him consistently now for 2 years, and I've seen the benefits, but no one else has. So I'm really looking forward to seeing, for everyone else to see how strong I am and how physically powerful I am now in the cage. The other thing I got to do as well was go abroad and train. I really wanted to get different looks, different bodies, high level spars in with different guys. So I went over to Bangtao there in Thailand to train for 6 weeks at the end of 2024 as like a pre-camp, and then I started camp then in January. And in the camp, me and Key went over to higher level in Scotland, which is a very strong gym they have over there. They have big pros on Cage Warriors and PFL, the UFC even, with Big Paul Craig. So they're a very, very top gym. We got some great looks over there as well and some great training. So you're definitely gonna see the best version of me next week, and I can't wait to show it. Yeah.
And did you know anything about your opponent? Like, did you have did you have a chance to watch any of his fights, or at least like highlights?
I actually have a particular insight into my opponent because I fought him before. We fought at amateur 9 years ago. I was able to get the decision win that time, and I'm hoping to obviously make that happen again. I'm looking to put on a statement performance here. Daire is a tough opponent. He always is tough. There was a reason why I went the decision last time. He's very hard to put away, very hard to finish, and he's very strong. He also has 8 pro fights now, or this will be his 8th pro fight. So compared to my 3rd fight, so he has that little bit more pro experience, but that's exactly what I want. I have a lot of amateur experience. I have 30 amateur fights, and I want to move through the pro ranks fairly fast now because I have a lot of experience already, and I feel like I'm ready for tough tests at pro. So that was the right opponent for me, level was on my 3rd fight, and he's always a stiff test. But like you say, or like you were saying, interestingly enough, I do have a particular insight into Daire, as we fought previously. It was a long time ago. I was only 17 at the time, but it's still good to have that little insight into his game, you know.
And actually, you had like a super long amateur career, because even like for the European standards, when the fighters got like 15 on 20 bouts, the 30 is quite a rare thing to see, to have this many fights as the amateur. And did you plan to have this kind of longer amateur career to gain experience in this like let's say proving ground?
Yeah, look, it wasn't a plan from the start of my career, but it happened, you know. And basically due to the IMAFs. The IMAFs are a great way to get really high level experience in amateur against the best guys in the world. And you can also get fights in very quickly. So I had 13 fights in the IMAFs. I've got over 2 hours in the IMAF cage of cage time. And these are the kind of stats that give me the confidence to shoot for it quickly as a pro. And like I say, it wasn't a plan to have 30. But because I started so young, I started fighting adults when I was 15, 16, back in the day before it was as regulated as it is nowadays. So I was able to be, I think I had 12 amateur fights before I turned 18 against adults. So that was one of the reasons why I was able to get to 30, because I continued up as an amateur until I was 22. So in those 4 years, I got another 18 fights, mostly in the IMAFs, and picking up belts around the regional scene. I collected belts in Scotland, Wales, England, Northern Ireland, and Ireland. And I was able to get belts from all the different countries in the region. So that's how I kind of ended up having that extensive amateur career. And I always wanted to go onto one of the big shows ASAP. But when I turned pro, I'm not really here to build myself as an early pro. I'm just looking to kind of shoot for the top straight away, especially with my coaching, with coaching my team CMAC at the same time. I do want to take that coaching role very seriously as well. So for my own career, I'm just going to try and get to the best place I can get to ASAP, with all the experience behind me as an amateur, and then focus on coaching in my future. So I have this all kind of set up now, but at the time it wasn't a plan. It was just kind of what happened because I started so young and the opportunities presented themselves.
But in the end, you've got like many good wins on your like amateur record. You beat a lot of good guys actually, who are very good pro fighters. And of course, you have this kind of crazy armbar submission that you finished to pro opponents. And of course, you have like many more in amateur scene. Do you think that is like the best position for you? That is like your favorite submission, that you can like take it from any position?
Yeah, no, it's definitely my favorite submission. You know, I have a few other ones as well. I have a few other favorite subs, but the armbar is definitely my favorite. I think it's four. I think I have 5 at amateur and then 2 at pro. So it's a favorite submission of mine. My last 3 wins have all been by armbar. My last amateur win was by armbar as well, against Alexander Loof. He's one of those good pros. I fought him in the IMAFs and I armbarred him as well. It is definitely my go-to submission, and I can find it from a lot of positions. But like that, I have other submissions as well. My only stoppage loss is to armbar as well, against Lee Hammond, and it's one of the reasons why I put so much time into it. That was my first time I was finished, and it was by an armbar, and it really made me explore that submission a little bit more. I've always favoured it, but it's my top submission now. I feel like once I get an armbar on, I'm gonna finish it. I feel like my finishing mechanics are very good, and my setups are very good as well. But it's not really something that I want to dwell on, like looking for. It's not that like I want armbars. I don't want a lot of armbars on my record, on purpose. It's just something that's gonna happen. If I find myself in a position there, I'm gonna look for it. But for this fight in particular, I'd love a KO, I'd love a TKO, I'd love a striking finish. I feel like people haven't seen enough of my striking game. That was actually my base, because my childhood sport that I started when I was very young was boxing, and I have 35 boxing fights, amateur boxing fights. And then I have a K1 belts as well in K1 kickboxing. So I feel like I'd love to showcase my striking in this fight if that's possible, you know.
And you mentioned that you are also not only the fighter but also the coach in CMAC MMA. And how you can like do both things? Because it's a kind of a rare thing. It's either like being a coach or being a fighter, and you are managed to do both things in the same time.
Yeah, it can be tough at times, but it's working for the moment, you know. It's like I'm a player coach basically. I'm on the mats training myself, but I'm also coaching, and balancing that can be awkward at times. But I think I found a good balance. I think the other thing as well is that as a coach, it really inspires me to be the best fighter I can be, because I need to showcase my techniques that I'm teaching my fighters in the cage as well. So as well as like trying to stay ahead of them, you know, it's really tough. You know, we've got a lot of good lads in the gym, strong lads, and they're nipping at my heels every single day in the gym. So as a coach, it's like I need to try continuously advance myself, but that also brings me on as a fighter. So like I say, in the future I will stop fighting and focus on coaching, but at the moment it's working well enough. You know, as an amateur, I coached as well the whole time. I've been coaching in the gym now for years as an amateur. So it's not like it's something new now that I'm a coach and a professional fighter. It requires that a little bit of a trust that I have in my team, you know. So some of my own students are also coaching in the gym and also coach me. So it's very important that we hold ourselves accountable, and they hold me accountable and bring me on as well. So while I'm the head coach, I'm not a solo unit, you know. I have a good team around me, a good coaching team. My mom is very involved in the gym as well. She looks after a lot of the things, like the running of the day-to-day kind of stuff, especially when I'm focused on my own fight camps, which is really good to have that support system. Obviously, my sister is recently turned pro, and she's signed the PFL as well. So having that close family unit around the gym is very important for me as a fighter and a coach, and that's probably what other, say, coaches or fighters would lack, and that's probably how I'm able to do this dual role, fulfill this dual capacity as a coach and a fighter at the moment, you know.
And what is like the more satisfying thing when you win the fight, or you're one of your students win the bout?
I think they both have almost a different feeling. I think there's a sense of relief when I win. You know, it's like all the hard work has been showcased again. You know, and that kind of thing. And when it's one of my fighters, it's just that feeling of extremely proud. You know, like I'm just really proud when they go in there and fight, because I suppose most coaches have fights, not all of them, but most coaches are fighters or were fighters. So as a fighter, like, I know how hard it can be, how stressful it can be, and how tough fighting is. So when one of my fighters goes in there, you know, either win or lose, it's always a proud moment for me. But especially when they do win and they perform well, I'm always just really proud of them, and them putting on a performance with the skills that I show them and I teach them, and even just how they put their trust in me to go out there and perform and to showcase Jim's techniques is always proud. Whereas for myself, when I win, it's that feeling of, like, you know, relief and elation that comes after a fight. It's one of the best feelings in the world, to be honest. Win or lose, as long as you go out there and you do your best and you put it all on the line, and you literally, you don't hold anything back, it's always a great feeling to fight, you know. But obviously to get that win is incredible. So they're both very strong, passionate emotions, but they're slightly different, I think, as a coach and as a fighter.
And when we are thinking about your future, but as the fighter, do you see yourself having a few fights in Cage Warriors and then going to the like bigger promotion, especially to the UFC? Do you like think about this kind of route, or do you think that maybe there will be another chance to go to the like best promotions?
I think that ideally I go from Cage Warriors to the UFC. I feel like that's you know, a route that's been showcased multiple times. I think there's like over 100 fighters that have gone directly from Cage Warriors to the UFC, and that was the reason I signed with Cage Warriors. To be honest, the dream has always been to fight in the UFC and to test myself at the highest level. And Cage Warriors is the surefire route for that organization, to get to that organization for UK and European fighters and Irish fighters. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen Irish fighters like Caelan Loughran win the belt and get signed. We've seen Ian Garry win the belt and get signed. We've seen Conor McGregor back in the day become the double champ of Cage Warriors and then go on obviously to become a double champ in the UFC. So this is a route that's been seen time and time again that it can be done. So that's pretty much the reason why I'm in Cage Warriors. I had a 5-fight contract, so I have 4 left. Ian Dean, the matchmaker, has hinted that I'll get at least 3 matches this year. So the idea is that I'll be 5-0 by the end of 2025, and then in title contention at the top of the featherweight division. It's a stacked promotion. It's a stacked division. But the idea is that once I'm fighting for the belt, working in the mix with those strong lads up the top of the division, I get a few wins over them, and I get a possible title on Cage Warriors that the UFC come calling. So that's definitely the journey and the goal. Yeah.
And of course, like Cage Warriors got a lot of great talents, like bantamweight, featherweight, lightweight division. There are a lot of good fighters. So if you win like 3 or 4 bouts there, it means that you fought against like really, really good competition. So in the Cage Warriors, you are like a little bit prepared to go to the next step, especially when it's like UFC.
Absolutely. I was really happy for Reese McKee there. He's another example who went through Cage Warriors. He actually had to go through Cage Warriors twice, so he went all the way through the division, won the belt. Unfortunately, came across Khamzat Chimaev in his debut. That was a very tough matchup, and some other very, very hard matchups. He had to go back to Cage Warriors, win the belt again, and then obviously got re-signed again. And now he's after winning his fight there and performed really well with a first round finish of his opponent. So that's it. That it would have been that kind of high level opposition that he's fought on Cage Warriors that has allowed him to continue all the way through the UFC, even through some setbacks, and then win again. So that was great to see. I'm a big supporter of all the Irish fighters, and they're inspiring to me because they're on that same journey. But yeah, absolutely. Like the battleground that is Cage Warriors is it's the way to grow your skill set. Like if you're doing well there, like you say, you're getting ready for the big leagues like the UFC. I remember even like obviously Paul Hughes being the featherweight champion previously, another top Irish fighter. He's gone on to PFL, slightly different route, but massive. He's made a massive name for himself in that organization now as well. So, even when he was in that division, competing, there was the likes of Morgan Charrier, who's also signed to the UFC now, and Jordan Vucenic. Him and Paul had 2 fights as well. He's also signed to the UFC and a top fighter. So, generally, like the lads that do well in Cage Warriors, they go on to be good UFC fighters, and that's what we've been seeing time and time and again. So, even Ilya Topuria, he fought, I believe, a featherweight in Cage Warriors back in the day. So, it's a proven testing ground for high level UFC athletes. So this is why I'm here. This is why I'm here to test myself. And like that, I'd love to go to the UFC. I'd love to win a belt in Cage Warriors and go to the UFC. But I'm really here to test myself to the highest and push myself to the highest level that I can possibly go to. And this is the way to do it,
And for now, for 2020-25, who do you think is the best current Irish fighter in the world, not only the UFC?
I think it would have to be between Ian Garry and Paul Hughes. I think Paul really, really showcased his level there. I think he outdone everyone except his own beliefs, maybe his team. Like, I really wanted him to do well and beat Nurmagomedov, but I found it hard to believe it was going to happen. But when I was watching it, it was so inspiring to see how good he did. To be honest, I thought he won. At the time, I really thought he did. Even watching it back, I still think he probably did enough, but it was a close fight. But he proved his level. He proved that he's absolutely at the top of the game. He's at the top of the MMA. pyramid at the moment. And obviously Ian Gary, you know, he's very, very good, and he showed it against all of his opponents. To be honest, I knew he was very good, but he showed it against against Shavkat, exactly. Shavkat Rakhmonov. He showed that he belongs at the very, very top of the level. Shavkat's undefeated as well, and Ian was close to winning that fight. You know, he was close to winning that fight, and he showed, I think, a lot of people who were doubting him that he is one of the best in the world, and I think that he's going to continue, and he might even get a belt himself on the UFC at some point. He's right up there in contention. It's doable, you know. So I think those two are storming out ahead, but we have a lot of Irish fighters coming up at the moment, so we'll see some more at the top soon enough, you know, with the way things are going. But those two are right at the top of the MMA pyramid at the moment. Like I say, Paul in PFL and Ian in the UFC, but those two are out ahead of the rest at the moment when it comes to level, I believe. Yeah.
And in like 2014, 2015, there was like a big wave of Irish fighters, and I think that in like maybe 2 years it will be another one, because like the fighters on the amateur level or even like early pro, I think that a lot of fighters from Ireland will be in the UFC in not a long time, and they probably will be ranked as well.
Yeah, hopefully I'm hoping to be riding the crest of that wave as well. I'm hoping to be part of that next wave. Like you say, about 10 years ago there was a big wave, led by Conor. Conor inspired the whole nations kind of to get involved in MMA, and there was a wave of fighters just behind him, between Rhino and SBG in the UFC, with the likes of Neil Seery and Reza. Then we had obviously Conor leading SBG. We had Gunnar Nelson was in there training with SBG at the time, and Paddy Houlihan, Carl Pendred, these lads, Artem Lobov, all these lads came through to the UFC at that point. And there was a big push. We had Ash Daly in the UFC, our female fighter, and now we have Sean O'Bannon as well, just coming off another win. So I think we're seeing kind of the second wave, you know, of top Irish fighters coming through. Like we have Reese obviously coming off a win, Caelan Loughran's just coming off a win, and Sean is coming off a win. We've got Kiefer still in the UFC. I'm hoping to see him out again soon. I'm a big supporter of Kiefer as well, Kiefer Crosby. So we'll hopefully see a few more Irish lads moving up through the ranks now and getting signed by the big promotions such as PFL and the UFC. Like, you know, over in PFL, there's Nathan Kelly there fighting in the big tournament, and Kieran Clark unfortunately got injured, but he was supposed to take part in the big bantamweight tournament as well. So we've got top lads in a few different promotions, and like you say, a big wave of Irish MMA coming through. I think another one that's another one that's worth mentioning is Will Fleury over in Octagon. Like Octagon is really, really big in European MMA, and Will is absolutely killing it over there, you know. So showcasing one of our big lads doing well, you know. So it's good to see. It's good to see the next wave there, and I'm hoping to be a big part of it in the near future, you know.
Okay, Alex, so thank you for the time and for the conversation. I hope that you will win this bout, maybe this time not by armbar but by TKO, but you also will be quite active this year to like stay undefeated in the next few months.
Absolutely, yeah. Hopefully now, like I say, ideally this year 5-0 with another 3 finishes would be absolutely perfect. That's the goal, that's the dream, and that's what I'm training for so hard every single day. So hopefully now, if we do chat again sometime in the future, I'll have been very successful this year and looking to build, like we were saying, onto the type of things that I was talking about there. I appreciate you having me on, and yeah, all the best.